That, John, yes, the steeplechase next on the track. Championship and collegiate record are the same. 7.5+ laps of this track. There is Aneta Konachek right here from the host Oregon Ducks.
Coming into this meet with the second best time on the collegiate list. And she's going to have to tangle with Courtney Waymont from BYU, who is down with hip number 4. If you thought that 1,500 meter was momentum, you wait till you watch Waymont run this. But on Thursday, when these women ran in these semifinals, get this, 11 of these 12 women had personal bests in the semifinals. It was one of the fastest steeplechase ever ran here. 5 of the 10 fastest all time in collegiate history are in this race. Waymont, Konachek, Camelli, Rainsberger, and Prouse. Strap in.
24 women came here on Thursday and raced. 12 remain for this final. They'll bypass the water jump the first go round. 28 barriers, 7 water jumps, and slightly over 7.5 laps of this new Hayward track. And the men were equally impressive in the steeplechase and the semis.
Boy,
very competitive to get to this final, and we can see already that it's going out a little bit on the slow side, and that's extra dangerous in this particular race because you've got to have space to prepare to clear each one of these barriers and the water jump, and space to land it on the other side.
The difference between the men's steeple and this steeple is it was pouring rain during the men's steeplechase, and now it is beautiful out. It's almost 80 degrees, so the water pit that these women are going to hit on this first go-around is going to start to get refreshing in those later laps.
The barriers in water jump for the women are 30 inches high. For the men, 36 inches high. And as John mentioned, they do not move.
No.
And we saw some spills in that men's final. In fact, on the very last barrier, there was a spill of an athlete was poised to take the lead, and he did a nice job recovering to finish third.
That's one of the biggest technical parts of this race. Forget about the fact that you're running a 3,000 meter period. That water jump right there technically has to be sound every single time. Ideally, you want to accelerate up into it, 1 foot on the barrier, 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out of the water. But as the pace either quickens or slows, there can be a lot of carnage in that water pit, especially after water gets on top of it.
Joyce Camelli of Auburn currently in the lead. Let's step aside for a moment and go back to the Tyra Gittens show at the high jump. She had a miss at 5:10, then cleared with not a great effort. This was her first attempt at 5:11 1/4 just a couple minutes ago. She definitely ironed out whatever problem she was having, so now back with a good effort there.
And mind you, she still has to run the 800 meters in the final of the heptathlon in about 2 hours.
No, it's actually an hour and 20 minutes from now. So this high jump is going to need to pick up, which it will as we raise the bar. We'll lose more. There are only 20 of the 24 now competing at the height of 5:11 1/4. All right, back to the steeplechase in their third lap.
We talked about the barriers and just the balance between being able to run a 3,000 meters and navigate those barriers as they hit the second time on the water pit. You see how these women right now are 3 and 4 across. What happens is when you go into these barriers, you're actually running into the barrier blind unless you're Waymont or Camelli or Norris from Air Force in the blue. So the women behind them, they have to set up about 15 to 20 meters out and navigate that barrier, because if you think about a 100-meter hurdle race, the barriers are clean. There's nobody in front of you. These women have bodies in front of them, so that adds an extra element. You've got to run very efficient into that barrier.
Joyce Camelli of Auburn continuing to lead. She will run the 5,000 meters later as well for the Tigers. Courtney Waymont right there on her shoulder in second. BYU actually won the first 3 steeple titles back in 2001, 2, and 3, and then have not managed to win it since. And And we've already seen her teammate, Anna Camp-Bennett, win the 1,500 meters just a few minutes ago.
And you heard Camp-Bennett talk about Coach Taylor and how she loses her voice at all of these meets. They were actually on my flight here, and these women at BYU literally come here and show up. I had a great talk with Courtney Wayment from BYU, currently in second right now. She describes her race right now as vibey. I loved that she described it like that, because if you think about this race, it is so difficult. It's 3,000 meters raced over railroad ties that you have to jump 28 times. And she said what she's doing right now is she's just relaxed. She feels that everything right now is on point. This first mile, she wants to make sure that no matter if she can hear Coach Taylor's splits, that she can feel exactly what pace that she's on. And then she'll decide when she's going to make a move or cover a move if she has to.
So Camelli still leading with Wayment right there on her shoulder. Prowse of the University of New Mexico is there in the blue top, red bottoms. Konachek right there in the mix for Oregon as well.
And so is Katie Rainsberger. She's in the purple with hip 5 on her. Had a great talk with Katie, and she says running over the barriers is what she has been really focused on. She wanted to take 3 hard steps into the barrier and then rip her trail. Just be really efficient. And she said then with 1K to go, that's where this really starts to pick up. She thinks race. And a lot of these women, because they are still all so close together, and it was an incredible semifinal 2 days ago, this is going to start getting faster and faster.
Mahala Norris of Air Force also there in the all blue. There's the coach.
There is Coach Diljit Taylor in the black on the glasses on the far, and she is so vocal to all of these BYU women. They were all laughing and giggling in the airport when we were coming here on Monday, and they really respect her, and she has done an incredible job at BYU.
Norris of Air Force has run most of the race in the outside of lane 1 and into lane 2 in order to keep herself out of trouble. But the BYU athletes and Norris of Air Force, of course, they live and train at altitude. Air Force in Colorado Springs and BYU at Provo. So you got extra boost when you come down here to 411 feet of Hayward Field.
Exactly. And the heat right now, it's going to get hot for them. But again, that water jump's a little bit refreshing. It's hit or miss in Oregon. It's either pouring rain and it's cold, or it can be 85 and sunny. And everybody has to run in the same conditions. So you just take it as it comes. You see these top 4 women getting a teensy bit of separation from the rest of the pack. But if you go back to that semifinals on Thursday, 11 of these 12 women had personal bests. Think about that, Dwight. Just the progression of this event. It wasn't an event until 2008. The men have been running the steeple since 1920. And in 2008, this was the ugly duckling of track and field. It was, you're not super fast, you're not a great hurdler, you're not really slow, so let's put you in the steeple. But just the progression of this event at the NCAA level, let alone the U.S. level, the incredible women that run it at the U.S. level. Courtney Frerichs, who has the collegiate record at 9:24.41. She also has the American record, where she beat Emma Coburn in 2018 in Monaco. And women like Colleen Quigley, this sport, this event has been absolutely just great to watch and have it come along.
20th anniversary of the event being contested here, but it's only been run 3 times in the Olympics, starting with the games in Beijing. Lap and a half remaining, and not a lot has changed. Joyce Camelli continuing to lead, and Courtney Wayment letting her do so. We keep seeing the diminutive one, Mahala Norris of Air Force, always moving out to the right. That allows her to get a line of sight on the barriers and the water jump. She's much smaller, much shorter than the rest of the athletes, and Wayment, much taller than she just can't see the barriers in the water jump if she doesn't move out to the side. It causes her to run extra distance in the curves, but it also keeps her from getting injured by misjudging the barriers.
Now it's going to get interesting.
There's the bell. 5 athletes up there in front: Camelli, Wayment, Norris, Prowse, Rainsberger. They've dropped Konachik of Oregon. She's well back in 9th, out of scoring position.
These top 5 women right now, this is where the mental part comes in. If you make a move, you have to make it with authority, and whoever makes that move, if you're going to try to cover that move, you have to do it with authority as well. And here comes Rainsberger from Washington making a move on the backstretch. Stuttered into that barrier, though, and that's something that will take a little bit of time off.
All right, 2 obstacles remaining for these steeplechasers, and Rainsberger had to chop at that last barrier. You just don't want to do anything that stops your momentum. Pretty good water jump for the top 3. Camelli hanging in there after she's worked so hard in the front. Rainsberger, and there's Norris. Norris in good position. She goes wide as she has the entire race. Not a great last barrier. Rainsberger with a good head of steam, but Camelli is just not letting her have anything. Here comes Norris on the outside. It's going to be Mahala Norris at the line.
Wow!
She had to keep going wide to be able to see the barriers. She probably ran 3,020 meters.
She did, and she ran 9:31.79. That is almost a 6-second personal best. This event is incredible.
Her first NCAA final, her senior year at Air Force.
Holy
and she
moly.
pulls off the national title with a giant lifetime best.
And running out in lane 2, almost lane 3 the whole time. That was so gutsy by Norris. A 6-second, almost a 6-second PR.
Joyce Camelli did hang on for a second by 0.05 of a second.